I'm very proud that it's an Australian company and it's not an overseas company. So it's been built in Australia. Everything we do is still in Australia. So even our call centre for support is all Australian based with the Australian population looking after it. It's very unique in our business world today.
We get a lot of farmers researching, comparing and buying machinery online before they even get to the dealership. So there's been quite a big shift.
Information is so readily available online now, and that's not just the car sales network. You can now look at comparisons of most machinery through OEM websites or just through doing AI chats now. So ChatGPT or Copilot, you can ask a question and it will compare machinery for you. So people are learning a lot more from the digital pace.
Welcome back to the Farm Machines and In-Betweens podcast. Today I've got a guest who lives and breathes the digital world that we live in now. We get a lot of farmers researching, comparing and buying machinery online before they even get to the dealership. So there's been quite a big shift, probably in particular 2020 towards the digital platforms. And the online marketplace is, wide and varied, with videos to walk arounds to, listings and platforms like car sales. So thought I'd bring on Stephen Hales, who is right in the middle of this space. And he is the state manager of New South Wales. So thought I'd bring him on to have a chat about the platform. So welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Vince. Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks, mate. No, I really appreciate it. So I guess just to start with, if you wanted to just give us a bit of a rundown about yourself and sort of how you sort of fell into the role at car sales. And then I guess if you want to give us an understanding of how car sales came about, really. Was it just a, secondhand dealership that turned into sort of the platform that it is today, or how does that all come about? So I think it'd be good to hear from you about that.
Thanks, Vince. It's a great story, actually, the car sales story. But firstly, I'm Stephen Hales. I work with the car sales group. I've been with them for 5.5 years. I work across the corporate industry and leisure side of the business. So ultimately, in the industry section of our business, farm machinery sales grows in that. We do have construction sales and truck sales as well. So we have a very wide business-to-business channel, which reaches a huge part of the Australian population in the business sector. Car sales has been around since 1997. So this was before most dealerships even had computers in their yards. It was a very early time to get into the online business, and it was when the first entrepreneurial type brain started to think about what websites they could do as the internet was young, and they looked at classified newspapers to see what was being advertised and had the idea of bringing that across. The company was founded in Melbourne in 1997 by two entrepreneurs, Greg Roebuck and Wal Pisciotta. They started it from having a little bit of an insight to the industry because they use software in dealerships already across many car yards. So they already had a lot of inventory built into the system that they were doing. And then they thought, why not start a website and get all these cars on it? Gave them a really good head start, and they did that and they took it on. And over the next few years, they thought about how they were going to build out and get bigger and bigger. And they actually got a really pivotal investment from Jamie Packer in 2005 with their PBL media network, where they already had some websites supporting their print media around cars and boats and bikes. So
like a classified type thing.
Classified, yeah. So car sales purchased that for 41% of the business, and that gave them the footing to really expand and grow bigger. And they kept in the business until car sales went public. In 2009, car sales was listed on the Australian Securities Exchange, and the Packer family sold out of the business at that stage. By that time, we had marketplaces across cars, boats, bikes, caravans. We also had construction farms and trucks. And basically the goal was to make the selling and buying experience great. and they wanted to do it in the mobility sector. So all of those different verticals aligned with something that was quite easily carsales.com.au technology bound. The biggest advantage that we had was that car sales was already a large company that was Australian built, Australian owned, and it had very, very deep technology, which was built for a much larger audience than these niche markets that they've moved into. So the technology we piggyback off from car sales gives us world-leading sites to do great media advertising for marketplaces across all these separate verticals that are quite niche compared to what cars are, obviously.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I guess that sort of filters into sort of where we stand with our business and why we're so involved with farm machinery sales. So yeah, obviously that technology and that platform obviously derived from car sales and sort of where it's at now. And like you said, you got is it boat sales, construction sales, what other? There's probably a few other ones that
It's a widespread, yeah. So car sales is the mothership. I might just show you the size in terms of it.
Yeah.
But our network audience reaches a huge amount of the adult population in Australia. Obviously, cars is a necessity in Australia due to the wide breadth of our land.
Yeah.
I'll just quickly show you the audience numbers all over. So if you look from the left, car sales is the piece of the business that we've had to build really strong infrastructure around to support that many visits every month. So we're looking at over 7.8 million unique users per month, which spend 26,560,000 sessions on the site, and they spend 10 minutes and 48 seconds per session on average. So it's a really long hang time on our site searching for what they want. At the far end, you'll see farm machinery, and obviously a much more niche market, but a large market still. We are capturing a unique user base of 119,000 unique users of hobby farmers right through to large farms. We've got the whole market across there. The sessions are 246,000 sessions per month. And we're looking at time spent on the site at over 2 years spent each month on people researching what their next equipment purchase is going to be.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I think looking at those stats, there's some pretty big numbers, and and I guess that sort of it's quite interesting because back in the day, a lot of people would go to the dealership, and that people still do. But when it comes to sort of researching and looking at a machine before going in, a lot of the farmers coming in now are knowing about the machine before they even get to the site or to the office or wherever it is. So it's really good to see that there's a pretty big uptick and take on with the digital platforms, I guess, because I think that's where it has headed and is going to continue to head moving forward. But I guess did farm machinery sales start off as one of the first of the niche, I guess, platforms, or was it sort of maybe an afterthought, or what was the plan for that once car sales really hit the ground?
Look, Vince, it was reasonably early on in the piece that we moved into the industry sector.
Yeah.
Having said that, the partnership with PBL didn't bring across a website for industry. So it was something that we built out ourselves in the mid 2000s, let's say. So it's been around for over 20 years now as a business unit for us. The website has changed a lot in that time. So one of the challenges with creating a new website is actually getting the listings so that you get an audience. Then you need an audience to leave inquiries, and then people that are selling are getting buyers. So it's a bit of a process to get it. So in the young stages of the business, it was a lot about promoting the website, onboarding dealerships and private sellers so that we had enough inventory there to make it a viable site for people to find what they were looking for, and then really grew out on that and captured the audience. I'm very proud that it's an Australian company and it's not an overseas company. So it's been built in Australia. Everything we do is still in Australia. So even our call centre for support is all Australian based, with the Australian population looking after it. It's very unique in our business world today.
Yeah.
And I think it's been really good. But to give you an idea around the industry specific marketplaces, the major milestones we had was the site was introduced as part of our strategy for industry specific marketplaces. It really took us into the next level of having a business audience. So when you think about leisure, boats, bikes, caravans, and cars to that extent, except we do have light commercial there as well, it really opened us up to knowing who the business key decision makers were, because these are not cheap assets that are getting bought. So the people that are on our site are making very significant decisions about a business's equipment, which is large sums of money generally. So we really reach the key decision makers across the board. Now, some of them will be hobby farmers and personal, but the majority will be business decisions. So the growth in listings. Oh, sorry.
No, that's really good. And to go back on your point about, I guess, having customer service all run, it's Australian business, that sort of thing. It's really, enlightening, I guess, because a lot of call centers and places that you call with any sort of business these days, it's always or usually offshored. So, and even in this space with selling or platforms, I guess. A lot of the time they're from America or they're from other places, and you get the feel of it, and you can actually, get on the phone and talk to someone that's based here and knows what's happening on the ground here. So that really, that's really big point that, and the reason why we've stuck with you guys and continue to do so. So that's really good to see. And even just looking at that screenshot there of how it I'm guessing that's one of the first iterations of the platform.
Yeah, it's close to the beginning, yes.
Yeah, so it's just how much it's changed and sort of all the options that you can select now, and it's catering towards what a customer, I guess, wants to look at and gets them the result quicker than probably what it was in the early days, I'd assume.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The speed to look up different items on our site is much quicker. It's much better technology. It's been constantly evolving. One thing that I'm very proud of working in this company is that they do continuously invest in upgrading their system. They're not just a set and forget and build something and leave it there. We are always like a duck with feet paddling really quickly underwater. So we look calm, but we're doing a lot of stuff under the bonnet all the time. Yeah. So you'll see that the dealer partnerships expanded in 2005, which gave us a significant increase in listings nationwide. The mobile integration came in 2010, and this has been one of the big changes ever since the iPhone got released, I suppose, in 2006. Mobile has become the channel of preference for most people when they're searching for anything nowadays, because it is just with you and convenient at any time. So we introduced that a long time ago. That's 16 years of mobile first advertising. We've enhanced, we did a big upgrade in 2015, which enhanced the search and filters. And then in 2020, we integrated the sites completely together so that all of the different sites could work harmoniously, and we had quicker development times to release new features. And we have just again, 5 years later, so you're seeing sort of a 5-year timeline. Yeah. We've just redone the whole architecture of all our sites last year to be quicker, more indexable for search engine compatibility. Yeah. We've done a major rebrand, which has aligned us all as one. Now, rebranding sounds like it's just a name change. It's quite a big thing that we had to look at. Obviously, now you have dark modes in mobile and app, yeah. And a lot of our branding didn't really sit nice with that because we had a different color logo for every single site. Now streamlining, we look much more professional across anyone's usage of our websites, and we're connecting it all together because the audience we have is very, very strong for the Australian businesses that use us. It is all Australian. We're not going anywhere else. We have buying signals. So we know they're in the market for something which no one else has. It's just such a strong way to converse with the Australian public before you know who they are to persuade them to come to you.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's sort of looking at that 5-year turnaround on things. You see the customers' behavior and expectations have shifted over time. So I think, being able to cater to that is really important. And yeah, it's just something that's ever evolving. Like you can't sit around and, like you said, be a sitting duck, because it's like anything, technology and all of that sort of thing coming out. It's even just a simple thing like a laptop, you have to change it every couple of years because of new technology that's coming out to be quicker, more efficient, and all the rest. So that filters into what you guys are doing, which is really great.
Yeah, something that's really important in the website space is that the hardest part of any website is to garner an audience, number
Yeah.
one. But the next hard part is the expense of keeping old systems and old versions of different mobile devices or Microsoft. To keep them all running at once is not a cheap feat, where I can proudly say that once you're on any of our networks, we have all of that running because we need to for the size of our audience. And we obviously see data where smaller businesses do need to make decisions about what they're going to keep funding. And you may well not actually appear on a lot of people's devices if they haven't updated to the latest versions of them, where we keep it steady for everything. So we're a very safe environment, and we make sure that we're not in clickbait sites or anything like that. So what we deliver is real rather than just trying to build clicks for a customer.
Yeah, because I think we want to, even with the stuff that we sell, we want to make sure that we're providing a solution, and we're not just selling a machine. It's something that's going to benefit the farmer and work in with their operation, because some farmers have got mixed crops, and they've got a variety of things happening, and by being able to give them the best information up front, whether that's photos, videos, and obviously details on a machine. If it's something where it's a used or trading machine and we've updated it, we want to have that information included when we list things, so that they're getting the most up-to-date version of that machine, especially in that used and trade space. And then being able to bring them into us, and then we can sort of take it from there and provide that solution. So it's not just about clickbait, getting people to click on our machine and get lured into something that they don't even know about. We want to really make sure that we'd rather sell something that's going to benefit them at the end of the day. So that's sort of how we run, and that's how this platform, I guess, works in with us, gives us that opportunity to include all of that information. So that's really good. But I guess just touching on the acceleration of the digital space that we're in currently, and we will continue with. How did, I guess, the pandemic work in with that? Because I feel like a lot of farmers at that time, and we probably had some of our best years because people weren't out spending like they usually would, and they were on their phones and at home sort of thing. So I think, do you think like the platform really accelerated at that point as well, in conjunction with digital development and that sort of thing as well?
I think it was a very interesting time. The factors around COVID changed in a huge way. That being the first time in Australia to experience something like that, it was something that businesses weren't really prepared for, I would say. We did see a huge acceleration in visits to the website, partly because people were in lockdown and they couldn't move anywhere else, partly because businesses had machinery that they needed to change, and suddenly manufacturing stopped around the world. So there was a whole lot of different instances that drove people to online. You'll find that it drove a sharp shift to online research and buying, and the growth was quite significant between 2019 to 2020 on our site.
Yep.
Leads and demand went up, but listings went down a long way. So there was more demand for less stock, which is understandable. People started
getting
wanting
machines in.
yeah, well, there were no machines there. So people were
Yeah.
asking for a machine and it wasn't available anymore. And it made it really, really, I suppose, difficult for people that really needed an upgrade on their machinery because they had to still turn over the work. It was something that I hadn't seen before. The other thing that really changed over that period were people were prepared to buy without sight. So I think the industry in farming has been a bit of a touch and feel, go and look and talk to your local dealer business prior to COVID. But I think it's changed a lot since COVID purely because the information is so readily available online now. And that's not just the car sales network. You can now look at comparisons of most machinery through OEM websites or just through doing AI chats now. So ChatGPT or Copilot, you can ask the question and it will compare machinery for you. So people are learning a lot more from the digital pace. The marketplace has returned back to normal levels now since COVID. We have more leads coming in, but we've got more listings on the site as well than what we did pre-COVID. So the site has moved forward from it. However, it has stabilized a lot, and there's different factors causing that. Some of it is from people holding on to fleets for longer than they had and getting their new machinery post-COVID. So then their cycle's broken and it's changed. There's some people that bought at the peak of COVID and now want to change their machinery but would like more money for it. So they're trying to do it privately. So there's a few factors that have happened post-COVID. But I think the behavior coming on digital has definitely accelerated, as you said. The hard part was that the stock wasn't there. So the demand outweighed what was available in the market at the time.
Yeah, and I think it made customers realize that they didn't have to go. And I think, even looking at field days, a lot of the time people would go to a field day to get that special. And, these types of platforms, websites, that sort of thing, allow customers to look at that, and all dealers and private sellers are putting up specials and offering things more frequently than they ever have before because they've got the platform to do so. So I think it did shift the mindset a bit where they're not going to a particular event or they're not having to go into the dealership right away. They can do that research and then come in and pretty much narrow down what they need, and then we can bring our expertise on the showroom floor to show them that this is maybe the directions you're going with this machine because of X, Y, and Z. So it was fascinating to see how that period, even for us, was probably some of the best years we've had since starting the machinery side of the business, and probably on the AgPro side of the business too.
Has it stabilized for you now that it's
so it's started to stabilize a bit. I think farmers are probably looking at more used and trade-in sort of machines, and maybe focusing on what machines they've got and servicing those, because they're looking at the potential threats of a drought, and just obviously like any other year, waiting on crop results and sort of what they're getting in. So there's a few different factors involved there, but definitely what I've seen is a lot of service jobs are coming in, and parts and that sort of thing that's been involved rather than just buying a new machine. But we still get a variety of sales out of farm machinery sales anyway. So it's definitely stabilized. We're not hitting the heights of what we were in COVID, that's for sure, but definitely keeping afloat. That's where we want to be, and we want to be here so that we can provide that to our customers, and we do stock a wide variety of machines too. So I think even in that COVID period, we had a fair bit on offer, so that was really a benefit to us that we always do hold stock, and we're able to provide a variety of solutions for a variety of farmers. So
I suppose the other thing that really came out of COVID that we saw was that because of the stock availability, people became slightly less brand loyal. because they
Yep.
needed machinery. So the companies that did have stock, just like you spoke of, did very well. People that
Yep.
were holding back on stock had a more difficult time because they couldn't replenish stock easily if they sold it.
Yep.
So it did probably bring some people to trying new brands where they had previously not done that. It
Mm.
appears over that period that people were considering between three brands, where quite often some of the farmers would have been very loyal to the brand that they'd had previously. So it'll be interesting to see what comes from that when it's turnover time, whether they've had a good experience from changing brands or whether they'll revert back to where they originally thought was good.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to your tractors, that's probably within the ag space. That's where brands are sort of the loyalty lies within the brand. Whereas implements, people are probably more inclined to chop and change, sort of thing. And then obviously you've got some customers that love that particular brand and they stick to it. But then they're not going to buy every implement in that brand. They might have an implement, across, it could just be could be a Brazilian brand, it could be a Czech Republic brand, it could be, from Australia. It just depends. But yeah, I think definitely the loyalty lies in the tractor branding.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you did see that shift in that period because people needed machines at that time. I think, it's about pricing and what the machine can actually do rather than it being just the brand. So,
Yeah,
um,
I'd agree. I think that's part of what the internet's brought forward for people as well. Back prior to the internet, you had to go and spend a lot of time at dealerships to learn what you wanted
yep.
and do your own ground research with a person basically explaining to you what was good and what was not. The research journey has spread out so far now. So we actually have I'll share the purchase journey with you. We've got the fortune of being able to follow everyone that comes to the site from the moment they enter the site. We tag them and can look at everything that they looked at on the site. This is how we know how many brands people look at over the journey. We can tell by their activity when they've picked the short list and they're only comparing between one or two. So we get a lot of insights, and then we can see when they leave leads as well. So we can actually work out the whole journey online to see what the customer journey is. I'll do 2 pages of it. One is the buyer behavior overview that we've got. So you will find that 36% of dealer inquiries occur outside the normal working hours between 9 till 5. So there's a lot of people considering their next machine in the evening. So it's an important measure to see how quickly you can get back to those people, because one thing that we saw in COVID was response times dropped because the lead level was high. People expect answers within 2 hours of making an inquiry.
Yeah.
Apparently, Australia is the most impatient country when it comes to Uber drivers, and we
Right.
cancel in less than 4 minutes. If an Uber is going to take 4 minutes, Australians cancel that Uber and try and find another one. It is crazy. So the time that you can quickly respond to inquiries is important. And that means a management system for after hours as well in some way that you can do it. Back to your mentioning around field days, Vince, the ability to find out about machines now is in their own time at the time they need it, where field days, you generally have to wait for the field day to happen. So in the immediacy world we've got now, having the right recommendations and support once you've talked to a customer should be able to eliminate the need for a field day by bringing them through the journey and selling them the equipment they need prior to any field day, whether it be an offer or whether it be just a service that you give. When people start looking, they're thinking for now. And when they start leaving leads, they're thinking about right now. So I think it's a really important thing to know that people don't like to wait. When I was young, waiting for something for 3 months was part of the excitement. But in a business, you need the tool now to keep the money turning over. So I think when people are starting to leave leads, they want something straight away.
Yeah, I think people's attention spans have shortened quite drastically. with technology, I guess, and so the demand is a lot quicker than it's ever been. And I still think there is value to having the field days, but I think it's just maybe another element. So if someone's researching before they go to the field day, then they might look at, a platform like yours and then go to the site and see it there and then want to call us. So there's a few different steps before they actually make the decision, whereas before it was just the field day, or I'm just going to the dealership and then have to think about it later on, whereas they come in knowing exactly pretty much what they want.
When I was talking about the purchase journey, I think a lot of people would be surprised how long people spend searching for the right equipment. And remember, these are high value assets. So it's not little money that people are talking about. It is a serious consideration. They want reliability, they want quality, and they want to spend the right price on it. So they think about it for a long time. The average time active members on our site spend researching is 164 days.
Yeah.
So we worked that out by looking at all the leads that were left over a 3-month period and then going back to the beginning of their journey on our site. And our site is a ebbs and flows as people come in and out of the market. So we've got new people coming in and we've got people that have purchased moving out. Over that time, they visit us 59 times. So they're coming back regularly to research. And they go through 179 pages and spend over 7 hours on our site. So basically, the research period has dragged out so far from what it used to be.
Yeah.
But when it comes to leads, there are less of them because they know what they want, and it's a much quicker transaction if you answer their questions well. Now, along with that, a lot of expectations have changed for consumers, and some sales teams have not moved to that time. So there's still somewhat of a belief that hiding a price, or doesn't matter what photo you put online, it's just online, is a very wrong attitude to have with the new market. So consumers or business owners, they want transparency. They want to see the price. They want to know what the machine does for them. Video is becoming an expectation. It's not big enough in the farm machinery business at the moment. However, in real estate and cars, there's video on almost everything now, and people want to be able to see what the machines can offer and do. So I think it's very interesting that a lot of businesses think about the field day, for instance, or their magazine publications and how well they present for those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Your first point of contact with anyone that you don't know is what you've got online. And that is just as important to merchandise just as well, and be as clean and transparent as possible to make sure people want to deal with you, because that builds trust. And one of the things that you can build over that 164 days with the right marketing mix is trust, and be relevant at the time that they want to actually make a decision to purchase. You probably won't know them before that.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you look at these machines, some of them 200,000-300,000, even more, depending on what you're looking at. But it's quite interesting to see how long it takes them, and it's a big purchase. Some of these are worth more than a house. So they're really considering and having to do that research beforehand. So you can see why it takes so long. So yeah, that's why I guess with us we try to provide different avenues for people to see what our machines can do, and not just rely on a static site at a field day, or for people to come to us. We want to have it out there for them so that people can get an understanding of what our machines can do, and be informed. And then when they talk to us, it makes the process a lot easier, so that we know what they want, they know what they want, and then we can come up with a solution that works best for them. So it's really interesting to see, and you kind of think that would be the case, but it's good to see those numbers anyway, and to see how that all works. But I guess with all these changes and things that have happened over the years, maybe if you could just give us a bit of a rundown on sort of what tools and features that have been introduced recently. Like you said that you've changed the branding and all the websites are blue now. and, filtering, and you're sort of really narrowing down what customers want to look for, whether that's pricing or brand or whatever. Maybe if you can just touch on some of the points, especially on farm machinery sales, on when someone's going there, what they can find and what's been updated recently.
Thanks. Look, I think that's a great point to have what we have changed. So one of the things was we rebuilt the whole architecture for our business last year, which was a huge investment, but a very worthy one. We've become a data company now. So when we initiated the whole website, it was more about having listings, connecting buyers to sellers, and we still do that extremely well. But now the data, as you saw in the purchase journey, is very strong, and we've got data trends, historical data trends across all the different categories of machinery across farm machinery now. So tractors tend to get January and May as their peak searching time. So the most people are searching in these spikes of January and May. That sit right with a pro?
Yeah. No, so
Yeah.
around sort of end of the year, start of the year is when people are looking to purchase, especially if they haven't put early orders in and things like that. And then coming into May, that's sort of after people have sown crops as well.
Yeah.
Every state and that's different in terms of when they grow and whatnot, but especially around our area, that's when people are looking to purchase, I guess, because their crops come in or they've just come off a crop, and they've got the money, or that something like a rain event's happened, and they want to get on and start working the ground up or whatever it is. So there's a few different reasons why people will look to buy in those periods, but definitely those periods are the some of the peak, coming into even June, end of financial year sort of stuff as well. People need a tax incentive,
Tax
I guess,
benefit,
tax benefits. So
So I think
that does make sense.
it does run in with it. It does encourage people that do need a tractor and can think earlier to probably be able to beat the demand period potentially and secure something before the market gets heavier. So that would be one insight from tractors. John Deere is quite strong across our site in the tractor market. Trucks have grown significantly, as we see. Mind you, so this is based on detailed views, which is the purple line. Detailed views are people clicking into a specific ad on our site, and the blue line is the leads that are left each month. So that's grown with the amount of detailed views and the leads have followed in tune. Kenworth, as I said, but you do have Isuzu in there as well, and Hino. So they tend to be the three main trucks that the farming community's after for their farms.
Yeah.
Tillage and seeding is very seasonal. It's quite interesting though that seasonality shows that most leads are left in January, where peak searching tends to be in May.
Yeah.
So the majority of the searches are in May, but heaps of people do the business in January. So it shows you that there's quite a long cycle, as we mentioned before, of researching before purchase, which means that it's important for people that do want to advertise machinery to make sure that they're in the market for that whole journey to keep relevant in the decision-making process.
Yeah, and it just shows the length from pretty much May to January is where people are thinking and researching and doing all of that. So
might be something to do with people's time as well, because a lot of the farm machinery has strength in January and May. Yeah. So the most leads are left in January, where the searches are January and May for spraying, which would make sense with the season again, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and I think obviously it comes down to sort of money and what the weather's doing, but I think I'd encourage most of the farmers out there, if they're online and looking for stuff, even just with stock, because some stock is limited, to sort of get ahead of what other people are doing, because then you can have the pick of the litter, I guess you could say, rather than waiting to the last minute, because there will be other people looking around that time. So I encourage people to start to look a bit earlier than I guess what's been shown on here, just to beat the rush, I guess, and to get the exact machine that's in stock that you can get ready to go rather than waiting on an order. But yeah, every farm is different, and their urgency is different as well in what they need. So, but yeah, if someone wants to go on there, yeah, definitely look outside those periods as well, because yeah, you can always get ahead of it, I guess.
Yeah, Vince, I think that's a key point. If human nature is to wait until you desperately need it, but then if you get into stock issues, availability is another big thing that people really chase these days, because they do generally leave it to the last minute,
Yeah,
and then it's about getting the stock that you need. So I think, again, harvesting, we've got the measure on, and hay and silage, which is a play as well. You can really see the peaks in hay and silage.
yeah,
But this is most leads made in August. So it's an interesting sort of flow of when the leads come. If you can hit the troughs, it might be a good time to be able to get stock availability in a better place and have more time to talk to experts on what the right machine is for you, because they're not inundated with other inquiries.
yeah. No, definitely. And you'll get that machine because you might be looking at it one day and then it's not on farm machinery sales, for example, and you sort of miss the boat too. So it's kind of, yeah, it's a bit of a balancing act. So everyone moves at different paces, but yeah, I'd encourage people to do that just to get ahead of it all. But what about improvements for the buyers on the platform? So if they're thinking about buying and they want to, go on to the platform, like what can they expect in terms of, search, visibility, all that sort of thing. So what's something that's new or any improvements that you've introduced in the last year or so?
So we did do the platform rebuild last year, which has made our site faster and quicker so that people can find what they're after more quickly. We are doing quite a strong site cleanup, as it's a self-user, what would we say? It's an advertising solution that is fed in by dealers and private buyers describing their machinery. We're gradually fine-tuning that to make it more consistent from what people put in, so that it groups everything together better and better. We're already very strong at it, and we've done some projects on it using AI previously, but we're continuing to enhance that piece of it. Our mobile sites have been enhanced as well as the platform tech last year, which has improved that. You'll find that we've got a lot of tools to help them list their machine. We're teaching the advertisers to get better ads into the system to really showcase what's available, what price it is, making sure that they lift their health on the score. So previously, a lot of people gave very limited details in farm machinery sales. We're now seeing the majority of ads coming in at a health check that we call 100%. We see there's still opportunity for video to go a long way, but the photos and the descriptions and the pricing has improved dramatically over that time. We are dabbling in the car sales piece. We've got and I know it's artificial intelligence, which everyone talks about now, but it is going to be a big part of how consumers search in the long run. And we've started voice search on car sales now, and allowing suggestions to come from what people describe they want and giving them their solutions rather than them searching for it. So that will become a big space for the consumers moving forwards.
Yeah, instead of it just being a whole heap of listings, they can, through AI, can do maybe a comparison or that type of thing, and have maybe two or three options rather than seeing a list of 100, 200 machines and scrolling down, because it can, like, going on sites like that at times can be quite confusing, because it's like, oh, should it be this machine or that machine? And they're probably jumping from one and another, but at least if you can sort of condense that, and that seems like that AI tool is capable of doing that, then I think that will make things a lot easier for the farmer.
You are in front of the game, Vince, because that was one of the things that I see coming in the future. Not too distant future either, because everything happens quickly, but the ability to compare the machines that you want to compare. We've already seen that in data, that people are starting to do that off our network, and we will be definitely trying to secure that on network as well. So it's an important piece of the puzzle. I also see, suppose the consumer piece will be that the consumer experience is stronger due to the different ways that machinery that they've looked at can come back to find them again on other websites while they're searching because it's relevant to them. And when you're dedicating time to it to have information coming to you about either a dealership that's got everything you need and can give you expert advice, or whether it be just the machine that you looked at and reconnecting with it to consider it further, that didn't used to happen in the old world. So they've got much more information coming to them all the time, which I think is good. But there have been a few shifts, as we mentioned on before. Consumers want transparency, which means great photos, great video, great description, price shown. They are key things that they want. And if you don't have a price or something like that in the listing, a lot of them will not bother ringing the seller because they don't want to have that conversation. They want to do all their research before they talk to anyone. The second part will be the speed of getting back to them. So everyone's impatient these days. I see that as something that will get built out, where lead nurturing will be done by AI agents, basically, that can nurture a lead until it's time for a human to talk to them. So I think that will improve that space as well. And I think the ag industry has been a slight latecomer to the party on digital compared to some other industries. I think that will continue to accelerate and people will reap rewards from it, just because the journey is so much longer, and the journey that people are taking is so far before the seller knows that they're in that mix, that the people that can influence over that journey period are the ones that are going to win the consumer in the end, because the familiarization and trust that builds to continuously see the same brand. The brands that aren't doing it aren't even in the mix. It's just like, these guys know what they're doing. That's where I'm going to go. So I think it will get stronger and better for everyone that embraces the digital marketplaces.
Yeah, and farmers can be quite time poor at times because, they've obviously got a lot of things happening in prep and then in harvest as well. So if they've got the opportunity to get on their phone and quickly search something, or if it comes to their mind, they can do it on the spot rather than like, I've got to drive an hour or half an hour to get into town to go speak to a dealer or call the dealer or whatever. I think it just becomes more meaningful conversation when they do come to the dealer, because then they already know about pricing and about what the machine is and what it can do, but it's like, how is it going to fit with what I'm doing? So it speeds up that process a lot, and you can really get to the bottom of whether or not that machine's going to work with them or not without wasting too much time talking about the things that are already obvious, if that makes sense. So that's really good to see that you guys are ahead of the curve on that. So that's really good. So I guess to sort of wrap things up, I guess, would you, if you want to tell people how they can find farm machinery sales and sort of how to go about that, because, I would definitely encourage people to go and have a look at that and do a bit of research when they are looking at machinery, because it will benefit yourself, but as well as, our sales guys when you're coming in, because we can better provide that solution if it's narrowed down. So,
look, for farm machinery sales, it's just a search in whatever search engine you're using, farm machinery sales. Then just click in. You can save that as a direct URL for yourself. The page has the ability for any dealerships or private sellers to just list their listing on the site, just like any marketplace around the world. And you've got access straight to saving searches that are relevant to you. You'll see the machinery on there that is relevant to you. We've got good search filters, so it should be straight to what you're after, which is good. Clean, uniform templates to look at so that it's quite an easy search for you to find the exact machine you're after. The website, as we said, can be either done on mobile or on desktop, so whichever you prefer to use. And we've got a strong audience, and we'd welcome anyone to use our site because we've got the majority of the machinery in there. If you're a seller, we've got a lot of the Australian audience on the site already. If you're a buyer, we've got most of the dealership network on the site as well. So you're going to be able to find the maximum amount of machines that are relevant to you for you to actually make a good selection from.
No, that's awesome. And yeah, look, really appreciate your time, Stephen. Thanks for hopping on. It's been in the pipeline for quite a while, and yeah, really happy that you've come on to sort of share that that bit of knowledge. And yeah, I hope that helps farmers moving forward when they're looking at machines and thinking about it to utilise a platform like Farm Machinery Sales, because it can definitely benefit that search as well as the information on what you sort of need moving forward. So really appreciate your time, Stephen, and yeah, we'll chat soon anyway.
Been a pleasure, Vince. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Mark.